Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another review. I'm talking kind of quietly because my girlfriend's asleep. So this isn't an Italian film or a slasher film, but it's something I've wanted to see for quite a while, and that is the 1979 classic When a Stranger Calls. I got it because I also needed Happy Birthday to Me, which that cover sucks ass. I used to have Happy Birthday to Me, but I got rid of it years ago. So yeah, Stranger Calls, classic movie. I have seen the 2006, I think it was, remake, which is a piece of shit. Because this movie is known for its opening sequence, which is like the first 20 minutes, which is the whole a babysitter getting a call from this creepy guy, calls the cops. He keeps calling. Cops call, say they trace the call. He's in the house. We've heard that story so many times. It's almost like a modern version of the Hook story. And that sequence in this film, it's often considered one of the scariest openings in film history, and I can see why, because it's orchestrated beautifully. Jill Johnson is the character, played by Kane, and I think his name is Tony Beckley, plays the killer, and Charles Durning, who was in Dog Day Afternoon. Carol Kane was also in Dog Day Afternoon. She also played Penguin's mom in season 1 of Gotham. Now, for the longest time, I thought When a Stranger Calls, I thought the whole movie was the babysitter of the house. Because that's what the piece of shit a remake was. They stretched that whole sequence out to an hour and a half. It's not. In fact, it's really just the first 20 minutes and the last 15 or so is the horror. The middle section is just building the tension. Because after that we find out the children have been murdered. They were murdered several hours before. We jump, and the guy was he was found insane, sentenced to a mental hospital, sorry. Then we jump 7 years later and he's escaped. The father of the children has hired Charles Durning to find him. He's gone into his own private practice he's a PI now. And it's just him trying to catch him. We see the killer. He's trying to live as a homeless guy with his mental problems. There's this woman that frequents a bar. He keeps trying to friend. And eventually Charles Durning uses her to try to catch him. It's all just building tension to the climax. And I think it's done very well. It's sort of like Silence of the Lambs, in a way, how in the beginning of Silence of the Lambs, they talk about Hannibal Lecter, how much of a monster he is. Then he's calm throughout the movie. Then at the end, we see what he's capable of. Like, when Charles Durning is talking to that woman, he's explaining to her what he did to the kids. Like how the bodies were so mangled that the examiner asked what the weapon was, and he had to be told there was no weapon. He used his hands. And it just, and then when Charles Durning sort of catches up with him at the homeless shelter, there's like a long sequence of him checking the beds and just following him through the dark halls and chasing him. And then of course we get to the climax, which is done just as well as the opening, but in reverse, because now Carol Kane is married and has 2 kids of her own. hires a babysitter. And while she's out to dinner, she gets a call. Of course, the famous line is, have you checked the children? Or have you checked the children yet? Then it all comes back to her. And I don't really want to spoil it. This is probably a quick review. Because, you know, even though it's a very different movie than what I thought I was getting, because I wouldn't have minded a whole movie of a babysitter in a house, gradually becoming scared and terrorized by a guy calling. But I thought this was still done very well. You know, the opening 20 minutes was orchestrated just perfectly. It was a right amount of phone calls of, you know, okay, who is this? And, okay, seriously, stop, and then being scared. So yeah, I'm not going to give away the ending, but I thought the ending was very good. You know, I don't really know. I also noticed, because where I'm a metalhead, a band I like, Kill Whitney Dead, they're known for their sampling. And during the opening sequence, when they're on the phone, there's that part where she says, what do you want? And the music picks up, then stops, and he says, your blood all over me. That's a sample Kill Whitney Dead uses in a song. I can't remember which one. But yeah, and like even the tagline, every babysitter's nightmare becomes real. Like I thought the whole movie was her babysitting. But even then, just the babysitter stuff being first 20, last 20 or so minutes, and then him escaping, the PI trying to catch him as the midsection, I thought worked out very well. And I mean, that even if no one has seen this movie, they know the story, because like I said earlier, it's like the Hook story. Everybody knows about the babysitter getting the phone calls, dudes in the house the whole time. There was actually Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark has the story of that. But yeah, kind of a short review because it's that simple. Like, if I was just giving a straight review of Halloween, it probably could have been that short too. But, you know, in the 70s with Halloween and When a Stranger Calls, especially since this came out after Halloween, I mean, horror producers really like the ideas of babysitters because everybody can relate to it. Everybody's had one. Most women and girls have been one. So it's a very relatable thing. But yeah, skip the remake. The remake did not know what they were doing. There's a reason why the whole babysitting section was only 20 minutes, because it was perfect. The remake, like, and if you are going to stretch it out that long, because I'm pretty sure that's a PG-13 horror movie, they didn't know how to stretch or create any tension over 90 minutes. So that movie's a piece of fucking shit. Deserves a 9% of Rotten Tomatoes. This doesn't deserve a 33. This deserves higher, because the performances, Carol Kane did a great job as teen and mother. Charles Durning is always great. I really like Charles Durning. Even the the killer guy, Tony Beckley, who passed away 6 months after the premiere due to cancer and possibly AIDS, which back when AIDS was sort of unheard of. It's unfortunate. But even he did a great job. You know, there was even one part where he grabs the woman from the bar. Later on, he like holds her up close. He looks like Michael Rooker from Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's another one of those performances, like Henry or Joe Spinell in A Maniac. But yeah, even though it's not what I thought it was gonna be, it was still a pretty good movie. Pretty solid 70s I almost said slasher. I've been doing too many slashers lately. a pretty solid horror flick. So for room 237, thank you.